Hi everybody, it's me, Vie Darling. Look at our beautiful crystals for this reading. We have selenite, red tanzanite, peacock ore, and I don't know why I can't think of the name of this. It's like my favorite. You guys know I talk about it like all the time. This one. Anyway, yeah, so the word is that I am doing this video for the new moon in Cancer. And this deck does not want to be involved. Honestly, all of my decks have kind of just been like, eh. You know, when you see all of this like stuff on like the 𝗪cie𝗶𝗸 subreddit or like fudging, what's it called? The 𝗪cie𝗶𝗸 subreddit, I heard this from like Witch Talk and like Witch Twitter last year when they were like, all right, we're gonna curse the moon. Remember that? Yeah. That I feel like is coming back to haunt us a little bit. Honestly, I don't have anything to say about that. I don't want to get into that. What I want to get into is the new moon energy and what that's bringing with it. What I do want to say is this energy that we're dealing with right now on the 𝗪cie𝗶𝗸 subreddit, people were saying that there's like a spiritual virus going on and it's like really bad and people got it from meditating with false gurus and like the discords and whatnot. And I'm just like, bro, I don't do none of that. What I can tell you is the symptoms of this so-called spiritual virus are the same symptoms as what's going on with the astrology. And I really feel like there's this big agenda to say that like there's all this terror, there's this big war going on. If you're actually a 𝗪cie, you should not be tuning into any of that. Like, you must understand that there's more and that we don't need to battle anything. All we need to do is tune into the light, tune into the higher vibrations. We don't have to fight. And we must cease fighting anything and anyone, including ourselves. We must tune in to our higher power. Now let's pray our way into this reading. Spirit, source, higher power, goddess, I ask you to be with me now as I go into this energy. Make me a channel of your light, of your word, of your peace, of your grace, of whatever it is you want me to speak, let me speak it. Whatever you want me to see, let me see it. Whatever you want me to be, let me be it. Whatever must be revealed, let it be revealed here and now. Spirit, I call you in. I call on your divine guidance, goddess. Make this space sacred that only pure, benevolent, high vibrational, loving, peaceful, powerful energies may enter this space and reveal what messages need to be revealed. Ancestors, energies, entities, benevolent, healed, whole. Guide us. Lead us where you need us. Whatever it is that must be said, let it be said for this, the coming new moon in Cancer. Reveal what it is that must be revealed for this, the coming new moon in Cancer. I ask for permission to enter the 𝗪𝗁. Show me what you would have me see. Show me what you would have me go. Speak through me what you would have me spoken. Truth be known here and now to those who want to know it. So we get leap in the reverse and just and yes in the reverse from the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. So yeah, leap came out first for me. This is what it looks like in the direct position, but this is what it looks like in the indirect position. And I feel that this is really saying that this is a time of pause and this is a time of rest. And of course, because we get this unbound energy, which is saying releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. Now, what I want you to notice is it looks like she is diving, but it doesn't look like she's actually leaping. It's like she's swimming, kind of. It's very elegant, just like a floating kind of energy, you see, into the moon, into new beginnings, because this is a new moon in Cancer. It's home, heart and home. Heart and home is what my one of my mentors, 𝗪cie, kept saying when Mars was in Cancer's heart and home, or was it Venus was in Cancer? And what this means is we also have just say yes in the reverse position. What I do want to say is that as this serious sun sync is happening, you know, there are some folks in the community, especially online, who would encourage you to do certain things in as much as the energy goes. And it's like, oh, this is the perfect time to manifest this thing. This really worked for me, this, that, and the third. When I did it this time, it worked. Stop trying to control everything. This moon is not about manifesting anything. And frankly, none of this is really about that. This is about getting your energy right. And frankly, before it's about bringing anything in, it's about getting rid of a lot of other things. So this energy of constantly thinking like, how am I going to manifest this? How am I going to manifest this? How am I going to manifest this? This is counterproductive, and it's honestly disrespectful to the universe, which you have everything that you need. And when you're finally able to truly, truly realize that and release all of that self-will and really sink into faith. Neptune, Pisces, which is actually ruled by, Jupiter. It's Jupiter in Pisces. I'm pulling up the chart for you all to see. Okay, so Pisces. What I channeled earlier today is that Kali Ma, Piscean, is Piscean, because Kali is, Pisces is 0 and 12. In the Western culture and tradition, we really forget about 0, the 0 point. And that's a problem, especially if you are considering practicing any type of magic or manifestation or whatever. Understanding that 0 isn't empty, 0 is actually full, because 0 is also 12. It starts again, it doesn't end, it starts again. This is the beginning and the end of the cycle, because it is that womb space, that liminal in between, that Shakti energy, and Kali Ma is that incarnate. That dance that she does is the process of destruction, which is a natural and necessary part of this dualistic existence. I'm going to pause. So, as I was saying, 0 is the start and the end of the cycle. I was looking through my notes because I wanted to check in with my beloved Hermetic principles. And I do want you to understand that what's really happening right now is like, this is a hermit period. It is a time for us as like the divine nucleotide activation is happening and we are receiving these like light DNA upgrades. This is a time for us to be going within and really investing our energy in ourselves. We don't need to be out here doing anything. We don't need to be, squandering our energy like pearls before swine. We need all of our rest, all of our energy, all of the time that we have, all of our resources we need to really keep for ourselves. And, as far as anything else is concerned, if there are other things other obligations that you have, like really be very, very certain about where your priorities lie, because like I said, in this principle of polarity, which is the 4th principle of Hermeticism as laid out in the Kybalion, the principle of polarity, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. And that is the nature of the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, Kali Ma. That process of life and birth is the same process, unified in this one force, Mother Nature. And we know that in this cis heteropatriarchal paradigm, we are taught to hate femininity, the process, because we know that femininity is the internal processing. Well, if you don't have internal processing, how are you supposed to understand anything? How are you supposed to make sense of anything? Making sense is the mental, masculine mental cognition, right? The all is mind. The universe is mental. Okay, so right now we're really being asked to pause, because if you look at this in order, we are diving into this new beginning, like this massive spiritual disc, this portal. It's the Sirius sun sync, which lasts longer than the Alcyon sun sync. And this is energy that's going to carry us for a little while. And then we have just say yes internally. It's about saying yes to you. It's not about saying yes to the things on the outside right now. Nothing is about the external world. It's all about the internal world. And as I said, heart and home, because what does the fourth house have to do with things? It is the house of home. It is the house of our comfort, for better or worse, our childhood, our home life as children. You know what I mean? Like, the first institution that we are indoctrinated into is the institution of our family. right? So that's what Cancer rules. It's said to be the mother, but it's actually the caregiver. It's where we learn how to give care, to care for ourselves and how to care for others. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a quote unquote mother. Just because duality exists does not mean that binary opposition is the necessity of life and existence. Okay, so we're talking about the fourth house. We're saying yes to ourselves, and that brings us closer into ourselves. That brings us into that higher vibration by saying yes by any means necessary. Just say yes. Just be willing to do it universe's way. Just be willing. Because at the end of the day, in as much as your joy is concerned, one, you probably haven't actually known what you really wanted for a really long time, because most of us are indoctrinated into wanting things that are actually destructive for us. And two, you haven't gotten it yet. So until you get it, you're gonna have to keep making yourself available. And that might mean changing your energy, shifting your frequency, little bit, a lot, doesn't matter. Shifting your frequency every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Be willing to do that. Be willing to accept that which you did not foresee for yourself, because you don't know everything. And this is the thing about synchronicity. I'm not going to get into synchronicity, but I would recommend you to read, download, listen to, it's free on YouTube, The Lightworker's Handbook by Lee Carroll, channeling Cryon. I would recommend to you to read that or listen to it. Towards, I think, the final hour of it is when they talk about synchronicity. They actually talk about synchronicity a lot. And that, just listen to it. I'm not going to get into it, but let me tell you something. The reason why, and so many people say this, the reason why your manifestations aren't coming true is because you're holding on too tight to the process and to the control, and to, like, you're not leaving enough room for the magic to work. You're not leaving enough room for spirit. You're not leaving enough room for higher power, which I feel like spirit's the masculine and the feminine is universe. That you can feel whatever, because spirit can also be feminine. And I guess the universe also, well, I think it's a womb. So, but there's also the sacral womb. So I guess they're the same. It doesn't matter. They don't need to be taken apart. They can be reconciled, right? That's what we just talked about with that fourth principle of Hermeticism. So yeah, that all being said, we bring it all together and it's beautiful, and we ascend higher and higher and higher the deeper into ourselves we go, into our truth, which actually might feel like stepping outside of ourselves. Last week for me, it felt like a little bit of an identity crisis. I didn't know, like, my dream of my future for me for so long has been super clear to me. And now that I'm actually on a path that can get me to it, it's changing a lot. Or at least I'm being offered another direction. And those two directions seem irreconcilable, like I'll have to choose one or the other. But the magic is that I don't have to choose one or the other. And the fact that I think that I do shows that I have a brain that cannot conceive of the massiveness of this infinite universe. There are infinite possibilities. I don't know everything there is to know. I don't even know all of the places in the world. So how could I say that I could know exactly what's right for me? I don't. And since I've been practicing that, since I've been living in that realm of consciousness, which has been years now, actually, miracles abound, truly, truly, they do. I'm sober. That's a miracle, to be quite honest. Miracles abound. Every day they are possible. Butterflies. New life is on offer here with the new moon in Cancer. We are being born. All of those contractions of the timelines that we've been feeling, and we've been feeling the timeline splitting and all of that. And that has felt very uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable to be born, and it's also because we're the ones giving birth to ourselves. So it's all uncomfortable on the inside and the outside, and everything feels weird. New moon in Cancer, new beginning, new life, heart in home. And it's not about us making the decisions with these two cards in the reverse. It's about us allowing the insight to come to us and allowing the miracles to come to us. And all we have to do is keep saying yes. That's all we have to do. It's about releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. You don't need to be going out and doing anything with anybody. You don't even need to be doing a new moon practice. You don't need to be manifesting. You don't need to be doing any of that. You don't need to be. What you need to be doing is tuning into spirit and availing yourself. What you need to be doing is getting real quiet. That's what we need to be doing. Because if you can't differentiate the voice of your higher power or your visions or your this or your that from your own mind, your indoctrination, your programming, if you can't differentiate the voices of the energies of your ancestors, your spirit guides, none of that, you don't know the difference and it's all chaos and it's all mush to you, then I guarantee you that you don't even manifest well anyway. Because even if you're getting what you want, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be fulfilled because you're spiritually unaligned. And that means that you have a black hole inside of you that is always going to need to be filled. And there can never be anything that can fill that other than getting in alignment. So get in alignment. How do you do that? Meditate. Be honest. Say yes to your truth. Do the shadow work to get free, because you can only ascend. This is the shadow work. All of this is what we have been working towards. And once Mercury goes into Cancer on the 11th, it's going to be like, so I feel like for some reason, the 25th is a big date. For some reason, I'm going to put a star on my calendar. What is going to happen? 206-159. It's the 206th day of the year. And that's 8. And then we have 6 on the other side, and that's 5. Right? 8 and 6. No, that's 5. Yeah, 5. Well, I'm going to stay open to whatever the energy. Starseed, what lights you up? Are you living in your purpose? Are you living in your truth? There's something for starseeds that day. What is it? The restoration of our inheritance. So let's talk about the chart, right? We have this lovely triangle here because we have Saturn retrograde in Aquarius making a double opposition to Venus and Mars, which are about to overlap in the 4th house in Leo. Are we using the whole? No, we're not. In the 4th house. So I believe there will be a conjunction. I just want to see when that conjunction happens. Venus will be conjunct Mars on the 13th, which is Tuesday. I'm going to put that on my calendar. And I feel like that's actually a really big deal because these two are seen at, like, this is going to bring the divine union that we've been waiting for. This is going to bring that amalgamation that we've been praying for. And so if you're someone who's like, I don't know where my soulmate is, blah, 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 the divine union must take place inside of you first. And this is happening. I think that there's going to be massive clarity that comes in around this time. So whatever it is you're waiting for, just allow it to come to you. Okay, so these things are they are in opposition to Saturn, which is in the 10th house, which is in Aquarius, which is very powerful energy. This is considering the legacy that we leave. When we see the 10th house, let's think about legacy instead of career, because we are in a decolonial practice using this infinite matrix or framework, really. And you know, I feel like as these two get closer and closer to one another, all of the past ways of being that have kept us out of harmony and unison and out of our divinity are continuing to fall away. So there are going to be more realizations. I will recommend to you to really call in light, call on your spirit guides. Honestly, this is like some 12th dimensional Christ consciousness energy that needs to be called in for support, for aid, for help. In whatever ways that you call for that, you need to be doing that. It is beyond what we do in the 3D. It is time to call on that, like, high vibrational, upper dimensional power that transcends the 3D, because the sickness and the heaviness and the weight that we are detoxing from is 3-dimensional. So we need something that's way stronger than that. First and foremost, I'm going to say the heart chakra. You know, using violet flame, that is going to be very, very instrumental. You know, I just see that as like calling in 12th dimensional energy through the crown chakra and helping me to vibrate higher so that I'm no longer in the frequency of whatever sickness is trying to get to me. That's automatically what that does, because the practice isn't about anybody else. And it's certainly, if you are like in this community, you know, I've never done a curse in my life, and I pray I never do. That's not what we do. The problem isn't anyone else. It isn't anything else. It lives within us. And as we see, it's karma clearing. I think that I said here, or maybe not, I don't know, maybe I said it on my Instagram, when we descend down the mortal coil and we come and we manifest in this plane of existence, this 3D plane of existence, we densen down the mortal coil and we take on more mass. And the mass is imbibed with the history of wherever it's been, whatever it's experienced, which means that each and every single one of us is imbibed with the material memory of the Big Bang, for instance, which is a theory that works for our purposes. And I'm going to be honest, I believe this theory. I'm just saying, as far as quantum physics is concerned, we don't know anything before the Big Bang. I don't know. This is becoming important. This is a thread that needs to be gone down. This has to do with what I was saying about that 0 point. There is a 0 point in the Big Bang theory, which I don't know if anyone knows much about it, but you can look up videos on YouTube about it. I think I watched a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it recently, or like a couple of weeks ago. And they don't know if time existed before the Big Bang. They don't know because we don't have any way to conceptualize past that as far as physical matter is concerned. Until we are capable of transcending, which we're already capable of this. Duh. That's why spirituality is so important. Until we're capable collectively, I guess, of transcending the material proof, needing material proof, there's no way that we can really know what happened before the Big Bang because we measure things materially. And so this goes back to what I was saying about that 0 point. There is also a 0 point within black holes. There's a point where, I don't think that's what it's called, but I can't remember what it's called. There's a point where light can no longer escape a black hole. And that's essentially the 0 point. If light gets near a black hole, it may be able to escape. It may be able to, I mean, it stays out of its orbit. There are black holes and we're not all constantly being sucked into them because you have to be at a certain place in proximity to a black hole to actually be sucked into one, right? So we're talking about 0 points. What happens on the other side of a black hole? We don't really have any idea. And this is actually a really big reason why some people think that we live inside of a black hole. I wouldn't be surprised if that were true, quite honestly. But we have no idea what's on the other side of a black hole, just like we don't have any idea what's on the other side of the Big Bang. However, all of that matter and all of that energy that is encoded into our DNA because matter is neither created nor destroyed. That is a law of, that's a property of matter, right? So these are all things that are very important to think about and consider. I think that has to do with this, and it has to do with the karma, which is to say that each and every single one of us humans, some people might be like, oh, let's use the example of like women or queer people, marginalized identities. Some marginalized identities might be like, oh, I don't have to do any work because I have been marginalized in this way. That's not true. First of all, we don't know the full history or the full story of civilization. We don't. Collectively, we don't. If you tune into the Akashic records, if you listen to your spirit, if you can hear energy and interact with it, then you probably know more than some people do, or most people do. But the point of the matter is like, all of us have shadow work to do. All of us owe it to our human and earthling and other ancestors to do the work of saving this planet and redeeming humanity. Because it's not about punishment, which is, I mean, it's not completely white supremacist, it's colonial for sure. And it is the mindset of slavery. But there's a lot of redemption. There's a lot of, you know, we have a pendulum that swings back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until finally it's at the center. And that's the 0 point again, isn't it? And then it swings back and forth, and this is the 0 point. And as living beings, we don't ever get here. We don't ever want to even really be here. And so, you know, that's the principle of rhythm, of Hermeticism. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tide. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. That and aligned with 3, the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This relates to conservation of energy, the laws of the conservation of energy, and the Big Bang in the universe. If you want to get out of the samsara of sickness by achieving moksha in this life, that is a lifelong process. And you must choose Shambhala by choosing your dharma. You must choose to tap into that divine spark that was born inside of you, that you covered up and covered up and covered up with layers and layers and layers of shadow, fragmenting yourself, just like in Harry Potter, right? With the Horcruxes. Layering upon layering upon layering upon oneself. Sickness. The ironic thing about that is that Tom Riddle was the thing that he hated the most. His father was a Muggle. Generally, all of us are, you know, afraid of the things that we hate because of what they reflect about us. But all things must be reconciled. Compassion must be embodied. It's not about doing anything for this new moon in Cancer. I want to say that again. It's about availing ourselves, becoming willing to be in alignment with the truth. The King of Wands in the indirect position. You see how we're getting all of these indirect positions, these reversals? Because one, this is a reversal of fortune. And I actually got the Wheel of Fortune in a reading earlier this week. This is a reversal in fortune, but this is internal energy. This is reversal energy. This means that we shouldn't be doing. This is like retrograde energy. And it is retrograde season. What did I say about that matrix? Anyway, the matrix is what? Pisces, Mother Nature, this Kali Ma, the sacral, divine femininity, raw, creative power. And we are co-creating with that. And we have its two rulers, retrograde in its sign, 11th house. Neptune is making a sextile to Pluto retrograde, which is in Capricorn in the 9th house, and it's making a trine to the sun and the moon, which are in the 3rd house in Cancer, and they're also making a sextile to Uranus, which is in Taurus in the 1st house. This is liberation, my friends. This is freedom that we've been waiting for. This energy is so exceptionally powerful because this is the defenestration of the plutocrats. This is the dissolution of the paradigm, the restoration of the king and the queen in union, in unison, in one, in perfect harmony. So this energy is going to end, I know, on the 18th of October. The 18th of October, Mercury direct in Libra, Jupiter direct in Aquarius, Pluto direct on the 6th, Saturn will be retrograde in Aquarius on the 11th, which I feel is okay. There's a direct, Saturn direct. I think it's retrograde. Just in time for the full moon in Aries. So we're going to be dealing with that dissolution and that collapse energy. We've been seeing a lot of that energy in the world around us. But what I really want you to pay attention to is don't participate in the media circus. It's demonic. Uranus retrograde in Taurus on the 20th of August. We're going to be riding this wave for a while. 2020 has nothing on 2021. I've already said that before. We're going to be riding this wave for a while. Don't participate in the media circus. Don't participate in the zeitgeist, because the zeitgeist is as sick as the zeit. So society is sick, right? Colonialism, that's the disease as we define it. Don't participate in any of those things as much as you can. Stay prayed up, stay blessed up, stay like King of Wands. Direct your energy towards yourself, and honestly put down everything, put down the weapons, put down the tools. You come into conflict with anything, yes, because at the end of this we come into new life and new energy. That's what I said. Ace of Wands for the 10th, Saturday, the 10th of July, new moon in Cancer. Nine of Wands. You're really going to want to look back on your life and evaluate where you are today and where you think that in the full moon is supposed to be getting rid of things. True, but it's the subtle everyday things that shift our frequency. So what are the subtle everyday things that we need to bring into our world, that we set as a bottom line for what we need to be well? This is where those boundaries come into play. And you got to put boundaries on yourself. You know where we're at, what is at stake. What are you willing to do? Say yes to your dharma and see absolution of your karma. Say yes to your dharma and see absolution of your karma. You must do it, because when we see this card, it's about the self. You must do it. And what is the only planet here? Pluto retrograde in the 9th house. You must do it. You must say yes to your dharma, yours, not to what is asked of you by others. Say yes to your spirit. Say yes to your higher self. Ashe. I honestly don't think that I really need to say anything more. If there's more that you want to hear, I don't know what it could possibly be. We get these two cards. Okay, hematite and Lemurian quartz. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Hematite, aligned to your wholeness. Lemurian quartz, escape your mind. Meditate, pray. Meditate, pray, meditate, pray, meditate, pray. Practice these principles in all of your affairs. Don't choose to do the thing that takes you into the old cycle. You don't want to be there. Allow others to meet you where you're at. You don't need to go, don't be worried about anybody else right now. That's really what it comes down to. Don't be worried about anybody else. Hematite is a metallic charcoal that takes its name from the Greek word for blood. Like blood, it's full of iron. And aren't we dealing with the moon? Aren't we dealing with karma? Aren't we dealing with the bones? Where does blood come from? Where our DNA is stored? Where's our DNA stored? The bone marrow. Aligned to your wholeness, star seed. Lighting up the world. Syrian sun sink, the Sirius Stargate, actually. It's a gate to a lot of other galaxies if you didn't know. It's your birthright to live in your power. You don't want to, that's on you. Like blood is full of iron. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to manifest anything. It's a problem with the magical community. And I'm part of it. People learn, they grow up and learn. Like I used to be holding on so tight. The things that really manifested within me are the things that are the most important, because that's the real true growth. That's the real true change. I was thinking about it today. Yeah, I could have been super specific and manifested like certain things, like I always want blonde hardwood floors, white walls, and large windows. And I had that in the tiniest room. The tiniest room. But I got what I wanted, right? And I could have been more specific. But beyond that, that's not what matters. Because I could have the mansion and I could still be unhappy. Because there could be a leak that infuriates me. And everywhere I go, I find something wrong. And every time I'm adding that to the list of things that I don't want to come with me into my next place, and this, that, and the third. But really, I'm like out here acquiring Aries, Mars, but I'm not cultivating anything. I'm not cultivating my inner garden. I'm not cultivating my peace. So then everything that I do call into me without even trying is imbibed with that peace, is imbibed with that energy. No. That's what happens when you're so worried about what's out there instead of what's in here. And this period is now asking us to be more aligned with what's in here. Yes, Saturn is retrograde. So in October, Saturn is going to go direct. Mercury is going to go direct because there's a Mercury retrograde in Libra, I guess, in September. Jupiter is going to go direct and Pluto is going to go direct. So that's really about the end of retrograde season, right before the full moon in Aries on October the 21st. And then Scorpio season starts on the 23rd. And that makes sense because I don't need to get into that. And like blood, hematite moves the good to where you need it and takes the bad away from where you don't. Who needs it? Anyone stagnating or spun out on something like a new crush or a lifelong existential dilemma. Grounding. Where to put it? Wherever you are when you realize it's time to come back to earth. When to use it, when you feel stuck, when it's that moon time of the month, which it is, full new moon, when you want to pull energy from the earth below and use it to make big things happen. What did I say? Grounding. Really tune into the core center of the earth and ground down and avail yourself of that energy. This is something that we've been doing in this practice for a few months now, so it's not something that's totally foreign. Lemurian quartz, escape your mind. What it is, Lemurian quartz is identifiable by its blushing hue and the ladder-like horizontal grooves that climb up its face. Its name is a shout out to Lemuria, a fabled lost continent. It's not fabled, whose highly evolved inhabitants, some far out folks insist, now live under Mount Shasta in California. Who needs it? Anyone in need of a vacation from their thoughts? Tune in to your guides. There are plenty of meditations on YouTube for astral projection. If you haven't been experiencing it in your dreams, I would say to sleep with some crystals that are good for that sort of thing. Lemurian quartz might be one of those. Black tourmaline, that's what this is called. Way to put it, Lemurians are like wands pointing at body parts, friends and other crystals that need more juice, which you need. Sleep, rest, charge up, drink lots and lots of water, smoothies, chia seeds, to change hydration. Rest, sleep. Honestly, I would say like really call for the violet flame. I wouldn't recommend any protections or anything like that right now. What I would really call for is violet flame prayer and just like surrendering to the energy, because if you're experiencing fear, if you're experiencing anger, if you're experiencing chaos, rage, any of that stuff, that's all coming from within you. Whatever's activating it is activating it, but it lives inside of you. And it is imperative to transcend those primal feelings by choosing the higher vibrational thing to do. And that's how we evolve consciousness. And if you're confused about what consciousness evolution is, think about the fact that we used to walk on all fours, humans. That's the reptilian brain, because all humans are reptilian, our reptilian brain at the back of our skull. That's our like the primal mind. And we are transcending that. That's where so much of the cognition of that smallness, that ego survival mode. You little, I mean, that, anyways, not going to talk about being in utero, but we must transcend that. It's how we've gotten to be humans and not our sapien ancestors. You just read Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. I haven't finished it yet because I'm a student and I have to pretty much, unless I'm doing research for this, I'm pretty much only reading what I have to read for class. But Sapiens is a really great book that can talk about this, and that can help you to understand consciousness evolution. And it is us choosing to do better, from as simple as the monkey that uses a stick to poke a hole in a tree and get the honey out because their hand can't fit in the hole. That's innovation. That is our nature, Mother Nature, again, Kali Ma, Piscean. Piscean is that 0 point where all of the electric charge is held. We can choose the negative charge or we can choose the positive charge. And it really is dependent on the situation, or we can choose a neutral charge. And as I said, it's really dependent on the situation. But it is also important to remember that we might be the charge, but we are also that cosmic womb where the electricity is held. Whatever you choose to do is going to have an impact on you as well. Choose better, choose smarter, choose wiser, choose higher, vibrate higher. That is how the consciousness evolution happens. And it's an everyday choice. Doesn't matter what you say, it's lived and it's embodied. Sacral chakra, cosmic womb, ethereal, spiritual, psychic womb, the collective. Okay? Tune into it sometimes, meditate on it. Ask it what it wants. Open yourself up to just being in flow. Go with it. Allow synchronicity to take place. When to use it: whenever someone or something you love needs a zap of healing energy, awaken your inner wizard or witch, cast a spell with 𝗪ći𝗺, violet flame on you. You don't need to be doing anything to anybody else. Whenever some praying for people with 𝗪ći𝗺 is going to be good. meditating on your ajna, escape your mind, meditating on your ajna, that clarification. There's a decalcification that's been going on that's been really difficult. The moon in reverse. Well, isn't that a new moon? Divine nucleotide activation. The end of the cycle is here. I think that's really all that I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all truly and deeply, and I hope you have a fabulous night.